Peter, the promise of a resurrection, certainly in the Judeo-Christian religions, is a critical part of it. How could that happen? Especially the body part, because our bodies today constantly are exchanging atoms. So my body today, quite literally, is maybe 100% different than it was a few years ago. What are the problems that God would have in creating a body in a resurrection?
The problem of the resurrection of the body is the problem of the resurrection of the body of a particular person. And the problem looks very different depending on what you think a person is, and what you think a human person is. It's really no problem for someone like Descartes, for example, because Descartes thinks that what he is an immaterial substance. What any of us is an immaterial substance. God could ensure that this immaterial substance continues to exist after the body that it was associated with falls apart. At some point in the future, he can create another body and hook it up with that immaterial substance, however it got hooked up before, and voila, that body is that person's body, because your body just is the body with which you're in causal interaction. Maybe it won't be the same body that you had before, but it will be your body.
So it doesn't have to have the same atoms or anything that you had at any time.
Well, your body in this life isn't always made of the same atoms. Descartes would be delighted to point out. Now, St. Thomas Aquinas took a different view from Descartes. He thought that you were essentially a union of soul and body, and that the soul was the form of the body, and that therefore, when your body ceases to exist, you do too. But, he said, God could keep your soul in existence, and it wouldn't be you understand. It would just be your soul, but it would certainly bear your identity, even if it didn't have that identity. So, and what God could do in the future then is create a new body, hook the soul up to it, and voila, you come back into existence, because the soul is your soul is the form of your body. This would even be numerically the same body that you had before, because what makes a body the body it is which form it has, which individual form it has, and that is you. But suppose that you're neither a Cartesian nor a Thomist about what a person is. Suppose you think a person is just a biological organism with no immaterial part or constituent or anything like that.
A view that you hold.
That is the view that I hold. That is the view that I think is the New Testament view, except maybe not fully explicit, but the view that seems to permeate the presuppositions of the New Testament. But in any case, here's a problem then. So I die. Let's say that my body, let's say it's burned. Let's say that I'm cremated. The ashes are scattered. Within a few years, they're spread throughout the terrestrial biosphere. God can, of course, create a perfect duplicate of me as I was at the age of, say, 70, when I was still in good health, or then maybe he will rejuvenate it, or he could go straight to the way I was at 21, though a perfect reconstruction then is going to produce my mental states at 21 and lose the experience of the rest of my life. So maybe he'd prefer to recreate me as I was right at the end of my life and then do some rejuvenation or something. But if he did that, he could do that twice. And then which one would be I? Well, not both, because there can't be two people that are the same people. There can't be two people, each of which who can look the other in the eye and say, I am identical with you. So it must be not both, but it would be intolerably arbitrary to say either one. There could be no reason for saying that one was me that wasn't a reason for saying the other was me. So if not both, then neither. So that's not, I don't exist? How can even omnipotence bring back? Is like this? Can he bring back the snows of yesteryear? Is that within the power of omnipotence? I don't think so. I think there would have to be some kind of continuity. And indeed, if you look at the one thing that the New Testament says about, as you might say, the letter, about the metaphysics of resurrection in Paul's first letter to the Corinthians, when he says that somehow the body gets sowed like a seed. It gets sown like a seed, and then grows again from that seed. It gets clothed. There's a gymnoscoccus, a bare kernel, which then gets clothed in flesh again. So the only question, and I'm sure that bare kernel is not a Cartesian ego or a Thomistic form of the body. It seems quite plain that Paul is talking about something that's physical in the modern sense of the word physical, not in, as St. Paul would have used the word, which would have meant natural to him, but something, that has causal powers and occupies space and so on. I would think that something like that must be the case, though what it might be would be a mystery.
The other side of the argument would be that you've done a very good job in showing the incompatibility between a materialistic, physical understanding of the human person and the capacity of even an omnipotent God of resurrecting the body. And therefore, you'd have to come to one of two separate conclusions. Either a Cartesian or a Thomist non-physical aspect, one way or the other, or that the whole concept of resurrection is incoherent with the physical world. You'd have to go in one of those two directions.
Well, you indeed might say that, but then what about a Pauline perspective? What about the bare kernel, the gymnoscoccus? That is, if I'm going to trust authority, I suppose I'll trust Paul over Descartes and even over Thomas Aquinas.